these things, these alkaline waters, if you have issues with that, you drink these things consistently, makes a huge difference. Like goes away completely.
Huh.
He swore by him. He got me on him. He's right. They're great.
I don't want to give Derek credit for anything
Fucking
good.
witchcraft.
I know. Yeah, well, that's why we didn't say it on the air. We'll say it
Yeah.
off the air, so he doesn't get the credit.
Hey everybody, welcome to Curling Nation Season 3, Episode 11, House of Hearts Hangover Edition. It was almost 2 weeks ago, but we're still a little hungover from House of Hearts.
The fog is slowly lifting.
The fog is starting to lift. If you've listened to the show for the past while, you know how big of fans we are of the House of Hearts.
Yeah,
Barn
big,
Spiel.
big charity spiel, big fans, big supporters. It was a party 3 years in the making, so we did it upright.
We did it upright. We raised over $114,000 for a local food bank, which is awesome. On the show today, we have Tyler George, who has been a part of that spiel since...
Probably since close to inception. He may have been underage when it first started, but
he was underage when it started. He hasn't been a skip the entire time, but most of the time.
Yeah.
But he has been
long-time participant and/or skip.
Participant skip, as has our partner in crime, Craig Brown, and you and I as well have been.
Boom.
Big supporters of that spiel.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out my numbers. I think I'm close to a dozen, but I'm not 100% sure.
Barb said they're working on some presentation for next time.
Oh, man.
Of a timeline of players and people, like some huge chart.
Some little like family tree of House of Hearts family tree. That'd be great.
Some big family. They tried to get it done this year.
I love that.
I didn't have no time.
I had a fun conversation with somebody who was standing waiting for drinks on Saturday or whatever, and somebody's like, I think you're gonna win Heart of the Spiel pretty soon. I was like, I won it like 5 years ago, and she's like, well, congratulations. I'm like, well, maybe I'll be the first 2-time winner.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good. We've been there a long time, and not everybody knows that, but we have a good time with it. So I was happy that we raised a ton of money.
Everybody knows we have a good time. Everybody is aware that we have a good time.
Yes, we have a good time. 100%.
But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Motus Financial. If you need a point of sale, credit card processing, online store, Mason knows what to do with you. So motuscc.com for all your credit card processing needs. If you're a small one-person shop, a curling club, or a large business, Mason can hook you up. So contact motuscc.com for all your credit card and processing needs.
We still have merch.
We still got
the season's running down, but you can still go to a summer spiel or maybe your club championships or something. Play some hands. Curling Nation at curlingnetwork.com to get your cards. We'll send them out. They were running around at the club in Duluth, and I think I had to buy at least one round of drinks. I don't know. I forgot.
You can support the show.
Yeah, support the show. Take them to your next bond spiel or whatever. So Curling Nation at curlingnetwork.com for your
only $15 for a 2-pack of cards.
Yeah, for your ends cards. So, what do we have for updates, Joel?
Updates. We talked about Project Joy. We're going to get into that with Tyler. Women's Worlds finished up. Team Pearson finished just out of the playoffs. They made a last-minute run to the playoffs, but ended up just short. Switzerland beat Norway for the final.
We talk about it in the interview, but the Swiss are bananas right now. They are a juggernaut.
They've won the past 4.
Yeah.
And they have won 7 of the past 10.
Yeah, it's just,
Women's
that's bananas.
It's insane.
That is beyond. That's Tom Brady dynasty-esque.
Yeah.
That's insane. What else?
Club Nationals finished up in Wausau. Team Mansell the men's side won from the Denver Curling Club, and Team Politano from the Ardsley Curling Club won on the ladies' side. So
Love it.
Congratulations to them.
I bet it was awesome.
They had a awesome time.
Yeah, they had a awesome time.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
I like going up to Wausau Men's and getting Wausau for a weekend. Fun little club.
It's a fun club.
I bet they put on a good event.
University of Pennsylvania won the college national championship.
Awesome.
Congratulations to them. And the junior national championships is about to start in Broomstones out in Boston. So winner of that will go on to Worlds, which is, I don't know where.
I don't know either.
You're looking up something.
I was rapidly trying to look up who the what the mascot is for the University of Pennsylvania. I was going to say, congratulations to the Fighting something or others, but I don't know what they are.
The Fighting U-Pens.
The Fighting U-Pens. Oh, spectacular. All right. Well, they're an Ivy League school that very likely could. Congratulations to the Fighting Pens of the University of Pennsylvania. So.
Also, Men's Worlds is about to start. We're going to get to that with Tyler in our conversation. We got our picks coming up.
Hey, Benjamin Franklin founded the University of Penn. That's a fun little fact.
Huh. Look at that.
Has nothing to do with curling, but all right. Nickname, colors. Oh, they're the Quakers. Congratulations to the curling Quakers.
Wow.
The University of Pennsylvania. That's right.
I wouldn't have picked that, but okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
Mascot, the Quaker. All right.
That's it. Quaking good time, I guess.
Yeah. Good luck to all the junior teams competing. Yeah. Let's go. Boom.
Good luck. All right.
Interview time.
Now let's get to Ty.
Woo. All right, Curling Nation, we got another brick in the wall coming to you today. This guy's got 3 U.S. national championships. He's got a trials win. He's got a couple of bronze places at Worlds. 2016 Basel, Junior Worlds in Ogden, Utah. Whoa. He's also got a gold medal. Another person from Team Schuster. Oh, I left out the most important thing. He's the 2012 Rice Lake Summerspiel champion. Coming to you on the show today, Tyler George. Welcome.
That was a really big add-on at the end there too.
Well,
Joel
did
save
it for last.
That was his first Spiel win as a skip, and more importantly, the first and only time I've ever played a double extra end in a curling game before.
Whoa!
Yeah,
a double extra end.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
That was not my first double extra end.
Wow! Holy smokes!
Yeah, Skipper next to you there did not want to draw the 4-foot. He wanted to hit the rocking eights, and his teammates agreed 100% on the shot call too.
Yeah. If you
His
saw
teammates
our
agreed
sweepers,
that he was had no chance of making that draw.
We considered the hit and roll out in 9 a win, and then we had the exact same shot in the 10th.
Yeah,
I thought there's a very good chance we're playing a triple extra end, which I'd never seen.
it was. Funny thing was, the rock was in like the exact same spot.
exact same. Did you take a little less
Yeah.
broom?
Yes,
Just a little less broom.
Yeah,
There
a
you
little
go.
less broom.
All right.
No, we had contact on the first one. We're not changing anything then.
Oh, okay. Got it. Awesome. Well, you are the long-standing gig on the long-standing joke on the show is we got to have everybody on from the gold medal team before we have Schuster on the show. So, welcome. I think you're 3 of 4 now. So.
Well, this is my second time on. You don't even remember when you had me on the show.
Well, you were on the watch party.
Yeah, the watch
which
party.
is sort of the
That
show,
doesn't count.
but
That's
not really
not official?
not an official. I don't know. 1.5 times. Second
Well,
time.
this is still kind of a watch party because you guys are watching me watch television.
Yeah,
which is
It's-
essentially
What are you
what this
watching
is.
tonight? What are we hockey?
I have 2 screens going in
Whoa.
the background. I have a hockey game going, but more importantly, I have a WWE Raw episode from 2002, and Hulk Hogan and Undertaker are kind of facing each other down right now.
Nice. What time of day is it? Let's see. It's about 8 o'clock. Is the NIT 9 o'clock? If we get to 9 o'clock, you're gonna have to turn on the NIT game because Badgers play.
No.
No,
It's over.
it's over.
They already played.
Did they win?
I don't know.
No.
It was tight. Did they
Oh.
lose?
I believe they lost.
Oh,
I'll make sure right now. I'll use my technology here.
They were up 12 at halftime, and then I turned it on, and with 4 minutes to go,
They were up
Actually-
12 at halftime.
Wow.
But
I
they were
convinced
down
my
by
kids to
2
turn
after
off
regulation.
Secret Lives of Pets for a minute just to check the score, and they were up by 1
Bad
with
choice.
4 minutes to go.
got it. Oh, that
Yeah,
stinks.
they lost by 2.
They lost by 2.
Lost by 2.
56-54. Well, I mean, North Texas, who's beating them? You know, I mean, that's
Nobody.
a stalwart,
I quit the show.
stalwart of the college
I'm leaving.
basketball
See you
world.
guys later.
Bye.
Okay, I'll stay. I'll stay.
Ty,
How busted up do you get about an NIT loss?
Not at all, really. The Badgers stunk this
Ugh.
year.
We were so close to
Yeah.
being number 69.
That's right, 100%.
what is the NIT anyway? Nobody really knows. It's one of the things that nobody knows what that means.
No, I have no idea.
Nobody cares.
I just knew the Badgers were still playing. That's fine. All right. Well,
Well, you want to know?
All right, let's stop talking about basketball.
Okay.
Nobody cares about basketball.
Nobody
Nope.
cares.
you ask a
Let's talk
question.
about
now.
curling. Let's talk
Hey.
about Tyler.
Hey.
Something else.
Hey, Craig,
Yeah.
you cared enough to turn off the Secret Life of Pets to check the score, so you care about basketball.
True. But only because I was curious as the score, because I thought maybe it would come up in this podcast.
All right. Well, it did. There we go. That's a wrap.
There you
Well,
go.
there's the first problem, Craig. We don't do research for the show at all. So,
Perfect.
all right, Ty. So your current role for the USCA is traveling guy.
What's
I
your?
don't have a role with the USCA.
Oh, you don't anymore?
No, you're right. You don't do research at all.
No, not at
True.
all.
No.
You
Well, technically, I do broadcasting for them because they are the ones that pay me when I did the mixed doubles and the men's and women's nationals. So if I had a official position with them, it'd be in a broadcast role.
Broadcaster.
But I do not have a hired
Okay.
position. I work for myself.
Cool. But was it last year you were traveling a bunch for the USCA? Or was that 2 years ago?
I haven't.
Or was that
worked for
pre-COVID?
them since pre-COVID.
Okay.
Got it.
That's the last
So
time I worked for them. Yeah.
You work for yourself in a ambassador-esque role. Do you have a title that you've given yourself, or are you just a USA curling ambassador, or what?
That's essentially it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have a name for it. I'm kind of working on some stuff right now that maybe could have more official name, branching out more in the speaking gig world. But
Got it.
Still traveling a bunch for appearances at curling clubs, helping them promote, doing media engagement, membership growth, experiences for club members, clinics, junior stuff, basically anything that clubs want to do. You know, it's not like there's a set template for what happens with each visit, but it's whatever each individual club needs or wants to have out of having me show up. So
Got it.
it's kind of fun just being able to take each one as an individual thing and help each club in whatever way is going to be most useful for them.
Do you need help with a title for yourself? Because I think we can probably come up with
Oh,
something.
are we going to workshop that right now?
Yeah.
Are you gonna workshop it tonight or no? Are you good?
Well, let's just keep it in the back of our heads, and the more beers we have, the better the title will be.
Oh, 100%.
That's probably fair.
100%. Do you take Malort
I
with
don't-
you when you go to the clubs?
Or does it just show up?
It usually just shows up. I don't have to do much anything with that. Yeah. I've kind of become associated with that. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I had even at the stop I made, or the last stop, because I've been there multiple times now, I guess, Greenville, South Carolina. The guy that runs the Palmetto Curling Club Twitter account, I'm sure you guys know, he brought me a large mug, and on the side of it, it said Tyler's Malort glass or shot glass or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I've just kind of become a part of that community, the Malort community. But we've used it for good, as you guys know. We had a fundraiser with them with the gold medal edition bottle of Malort that we ended up raising, I think, $7,000 for Project Joy through the House of Hearts.
Great.
And
I've got,
they've been a wonderful
over
partner
there
with us
somewhere.
since. So
Yours is around somewhere.
Yeah, so who knew?
Yeah, not
Who
within
knew
reach,
that
but they're
something
over here
like
somewhere.
that could. Yeah, yeah. You never know what these things can turn into. You know, that a weird association like that. You know, us using their liquor as a penalty shot for a miss during a game ends up being a sponsor and a fundraiser to feed hungry kids. So it's kind of a cool thing.
And have you had? We had the barrel aged Malort that was up at the suite, right? At House of Hearts.
Yeah,
that
I
up
brought
there?
that one. That was
Yeah.
me. Yep.
How was that one? Was
Yeah,
that
they-
is that the rum barrel aged one or the bourbon barrel?
No,
aged
it was. I think it was just a standard barrel aged. I don't know if it was a particular rum or bourbon barrel aged one, but
Craig looks really
Yeah, they,
enthused about it.
Maybe an old gasoline barrel.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they actually sent me a half a case of those things just because of the association that we've had in the past, and it's really just Malort that isn't quite as pungent as normal Malort, but it still definitely tastes like Malort tastes.
Well, that was probably the bourbon barrel aged one because the tour that we did, we got the pull right from the taps as those were aging, and I remember there's a rum barrel aged one and a bourbon barrel aged one. The bourbon barrel aged one was a little milder. The rum barrel aged one was even angrier than like regular Malort.
Oh, angrier.
was-
That's a good way to describe it.
It was
That's not a bad way to put it.
It was not good. Like it was bad.
Got it.
Angry. That's not bad. I remember
That's
that.
how I felt when every time you tried to make me drink it at House of Hearts, Ty.
Yeah, that's fair.
One time it was like, I don't know, 10:45 in the morning. I'm rolling into my 11 a.m. game,
Sure.
and you just hand the bottle to me. And I took the cap off and I threw it at you.
Yeah.
And I took a big slug and I said, "Don't ever talk to me again with a bottle of this in your hand." And I just walked away. I didn't, and I'm not sure you have, but
Well,
I
technically,
doubt
Craig,
that you remembered that.
I didn't really even then though. I talked to you when it was in your hand.
I hate it so much.
Well, you're talking about 10:45, like that's early at House of Hearts. Like we've in some years woken up skips in their room at 8 a.m. with Malort like pounding on their door as for rookie skips to initiate them. Now I've decided we don't do that anymore because the reason is that Joel and I have to be the ones that do it. So we got to get up that early to do it, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I just bring it to the pin party, the 9 a.m. thing, and then pass it around there. That's what happened this year.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
So,
We missed you though, Craig. It's not the
Yeah.
same without you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will make my return someday.
but speaking of this
Someday. We'll check with you next year.
awesome event, what is this event we're talking about, Ty?
The House of Hearts charity tournament. We hold it every March in Duluth, Minnesota, and we've supported a lot of different organizations, or a few different organizations over the years, but I've stuck with Project Joy, the Applies Families Foundation. That's we run through a local food bank in Duluth and feed hungry kids through a backpack program. And we actually set a record this year for fundraising with over $114,000, which, based on the numbers that we've seen in the past, with how many kids, I think they said we had, when it was 90,000, we fed every child in the program for like 6 months. So I would imagine that we'll be able to do that for at least over half a year now with the funds that we raised. So, it's a huge party, great time, pro-am curling tournament, but does a lot of good for a lot of hungry kids. So everybody's real proud of what we're able to accomplish once again.
Yeah, we raised $114,209. I got to play with John Harstead. Had fun. Who would you play with?
I curled with Tolly Gill. She
Oh,
was
nice.
great. Yeah, she was super.
How was Tali? I hadn't really talked to anybody that played on her team yet.
She was fun. I mean, we had a good time.
Good.
I don't know. We didn't curl very well, but
No
That's
lamp
not
shades.
the point.
yeah, I didn't win the lampshades, so I think I narrowly avoided them, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Pia who won those.
Yeah.
Pia Trulson from Norway.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made a
Yeah,
bunch.
Craig, now we have the children of the skips that we had played with before that are celeb skips with Pia and is it Bent's niece that was there or Bent's daughter? Or
Yeah, Eigel's kids.
Maya.
So Eigel is Bent's brother, and Eigel
Yep.
won the gold medal in '88 Olympics. And he also won the Worlds that year. What a year.
Big
What a
year.
dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad played against him a bunch of times. And then I kind of caught the tail end of Bent's career.
Yeah. I got bruised up with Bent when he came to House of Hearts. Him and another one whose son played in the event, Hammy McMillan Sr. Bent and him and Kevin Cackle gave me an education one year there. I got real bruised up Thursday night.
Kevin
at that thing,
Cackle.
and-
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a name for
Yeah,
the
those
past.
three. Oh, man. I learned a lot that night. I learned the next morning about what the previous night means, too. So that was rough.
Nice.
It's all about the kids.
It's all about the kids.
That's it is for the kids. I'll be doing that again in a couple of weeks for one day because I got the call to do broadcasting for Men's Worlds in Ottawa.
Okay.
I'll be working through the round robin and then I'm done. But the Curl for Kids in Oakville, Ontario, which is another charity event that's for a children's hospital up there for the prenatal wing, I believe. And
Yeah, that's certainly one skill
Usually
I
I-
get up to at some
yeah,
point.
I've
But
played it like 10 times, but with the broadcast gig, I'm only able to attend the event for one day. So I'm actually flying into Toronto from Ottawa on early Sunday morning or Saturday morning
Okay.
and playing the last two draws for a team. So myself and Greg Ballsden are co-skips
Whoa.
for that squad. So Ballsy's playing Friday and I'm playing Saturday. So I get to come into a charity event fresh on a Saturday,
Wow.
which I've never done before.
that's like
That'll be interesting.
That's unfair, I think. For
That's like bringing in the closer.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited. You get to just rip it up for a day and still, be a part of the cause and everything, which is another event that's very near and dear to me. So would have broke my heart to miss it, but get to do both. Get to do the broadcasts and then head into Oakville for a day and support the cause there again too. So it'll be a lot of fun.
So you are going to be working for World Curling TV?
Yes, that is correct. So I'll be. They have 4 analysts for this Worlds: myself, Jennifer Jones, Mike Harris, and Kevin Martin. And then they have 4 play-by-play people, which are the standard ones that they usually have: Luke Coley, Rona Martin, Sandra Rolveg, and Hans Frohnlab. So I don't know if they're just going to pair us up with one each, and then that's who we stick with, or if we're going to rotate. But you'll hear all 8 of us throughout the round robin, and then I assume they're keeping Kevin and maybe Mike for the playoff games, as those are the veterans of the broadcast circuit. So yeah, I get to be done Friday night and get that early morning flight to Toronto, and then hit up Curl for Kids for a day, and then I'm actually staying for a few days after that in Toronto for the Players Championship and my Athlete Commission role, World Curling Federation Athlete Commission, and having some meetings with players about 8 versus 10 ends and some other competition format issues and things like that. So as with our role with the Athlete Commission, we don't make decisions or anything like that. We're the voice of the players. So we try to get the pulse for what they're thinking, what they want, and then we're kind of their seat at the table with the WCF. So
All right. What are the other issues that you're discussing? besides 8 or 10 ends?
Well, the biggest one is 8 versus 10 because that's going to be decided, at least for this year, probably in June. And there's still a lot of questions that we need to answer with that. That's another conversation in itself. We're talking about future Worlds formats. With the World Curling Federation wants to get more countries involved in the future, and they're trying to come up with a World Championship format that allows for more teams to be involved, more countries to be involved, but doesn't mean more games, doesn't hurt the competitive aspect of the tournament itself. There's other stuff like the pace of the game, how we're marketing the game more, how to market our athletes better, all kinds of things like that. So we're covering a lot of ground right now, but the one that we have to take care of the quickest is the 8 versus 10 ends, because that decision and vote is going to come up again pretty soon.
Got it.
And so that will be for the whole quad?
For this quad, I don't know that they would change it for this Olympics. I think they'd still probably stick with the 10, but I don't know that they've made that decision. With the World Championship formats, that would be for the next quad. Anything that they would do, because of the Olympic qualification process, they want all the same formats for the Worlds throughout this quad. So if we do make a change with regard to what the Worlds format would be, that wouldn't happen until 2026 at the earliest.
Even though they start taking points do they start taking points at this Worlds or next Worlds for the quad?
It's next Worlds.
Next
2024 and 2025 Worlds are the ones where they take Olympic points.
Got it.
What do you think? You think it should be 8 or 10?
I've gone back and forth on it a
No.
lot. Yeah, I mean,
6.
I think it's gonna go to 8. I think it's kind of immaterial. We talked about that too. I mean, we talked about 8. We talked about 9, but we've talked about having at Worlds the round robin be 8 ends and the playoffs be 10. There's a bunch of stuff that we've kicked around, but I think it's gonna be 8 eventually, anyways, because the networks like the idea of 8 and the WCF likes the idea of 8 for possible future broadcasts.
They think they can get it in 2 hours, right? If they do 8 ends,
they close to it at least, yeah. But they'll need to fix the pace of play with that too, if that's going to be the case. So the bottom line is, I think 8 versus 10 is kind of immaterial, because we need to market the athletes in the sport better. It doesn't matter how long the game is if we're not marketing our athletes and we're not making the game more entertaining for the non-curler. So a lot of the things that we're talking about in these meetings that we're having now have more to do with how can we make the game more appealing? How can we market our athletes better? How can we fix the pace of play? How can we engage fans more? How can we use statistics more? As opposed to, well, if we switch it to 8, then things are going to be better. Or if we keep it at 10, then we have more advertising time. So it's not a cut and dry thing where changing the number of ends in a game will change like how marketable the sport is. Yeah. And if you look at other sports, I mean, like baseball is a great example. The game was too long, but they didn't change the number of innings. They added a pitch clock, and they added, the stuff about the time in between at bats, and they did little things to cut time out of the game, and now they're seeing it already in the preseason games that they're cutting almost a full half hour out of the game.
Holy crap.
Just with this pitch clock thing.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then they're already shortening things without changing the game itself all that much. So, I mean, that's some of the stuff that we're looking at more too. That's, we don't need to necessarily say if the game's 8 ends, then it's shorter, then we're going to get more viewers, as opposed to, okay, well, if we speed the game up and we engage the fans more, we market the athletes better, that's what's going to get people actually watching.
So what do you think would be a bigger change to the sport? Do you think the no tick rule was a bigger change, or do you think switching from 10 to 8 would be a bigger change? Because technically 2 less ends, you might have to start playing aggressively faster?
Yeah, well, part of it is that with the research that we've seen, like Worlds and nationals, international events are the only ones that we play 10 ends at, right? So we've been able to look at
all the slams are 8, right?
Yeah, I
slams
think
are 8.
so.
Yeah, everything else is 8. All the tour events are 8. So when we look at the results from slams and tour events, the same teams are winning. It's not changing who's winning these events because of the length of the game or because of the number of ends of the game. Now, is it a more exciting game having it shorter? The players seem to think so in the surveys that we've done. But
have you seen the
results,
scores? Are the scores different? I mean, number of points scored.
Yeah, you're going to have lower scoring games with two less ends. That's just, simple math. But
what about the points per end? I think is maybe.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a whole lot of change there, but that's more affected by no tick and 5 rock than the number of ends that you're playing overall. So they're seeing more interesting final ends of games because of no tick. You're seeing more offensive play because of 5 rock. These are all good things. But in general, the concern was with those rules changes, are we going to see the results changing? Or are we going to see different teams winning? Are we going to see lesser ranked teams winning more often? And we really haven't seen that very much. So if there aren't drastic changes to the teams that are winning, then in general, especially the elite teams, will be happy, which is a good thing too. We really don't want to make rules changes for marketing the game that directly affect the outcomes as much, but we want it to be more interesting for people to watch. And so far that's been accomplished. So the no tick, they're still calling it a trial rule as of now, but technically, I mean, it's going to stay. The athletes are fine with it. It does make the game more interesting, but it's not changing the overall results all that much. So the 5 rock is going to stay. Then it's a matter of where we go from there.
Got it.
I have a follow-up question for you, Ty. You keep saying the term pace of play.
Yeah.
And what is the perceived problem with the current pace of play?
Well, if you're talking from a network standpoint, your issue is that you don't know during any given end how long it's going to take to complete it. So for commercial breaks, you don't know when they're going to happen. That's a problem for broadcasts. One of the things that they've talked about to address that.
NBC obviously doesn't care when they take a commercial break because it could be partway through the end.
Well, yeah,
it could be at the the last 2 rocks at the end. Like, hey, commercial break.
Yeah, that's part of the problem is the fans go nuts when they take breaks in the middle or they don't show a big chunk of the end because of it. So, if we can tell them, listen, we're timing per end as opposed to per game, then you have a pretty good idea when you're going to have commercial breaks, unless there's a timeout. If you did 4.5 minutes per end as opposed to, 38 minutes for the game, then you're speeding things up and you're fitting it into a certain time clock. But also for viewers outside the broadcast things, when things start to grind down a little bit, you're taking a lot of time. For curlers, it's interesting because you're listening to the conversations about what they're doing, why they're doing it. I like when the game slows down because I like listening to the conversations. I'm sure you guys do too. But for the casual fan, when the game slows to that point where there isn't a whole lot going on and they don't understand the conversations that are happening or why it's taking as long as it is or what the conversation's actually about, then that's not really engaging the non-curling viewer. So the game, when it slows to a point that you're not getting a lot of action, then it's fine for the curling fan, but it's not as interesting for the casual fan, which is kind of an issue too.
I feel the same thing about baseball. Like, I just see a bunch of guys just hanging around scratching the nuts, and like a fan sees like, oh, there's a big psychological thing
Joel,
happening.
to be fair, that's in your normal search browser anyways. So.
It's called Safe Search, Ty.
I don't know. Maybe I am too entrenched in the sport as it is. I don't see a problem with pace of play, and I think that if you've got if you like, I have no problem going to 8 ends if that's what is determined. I kind of fought against that psychologically for quite a while, but nowadays I'm less opposed to that concept. But like, I think if you've got good broadcasters that can talk your way through a slowdown in action, obviously that's gonna be criticized by some curling fans as well, because then they're gonna say, "Oh, this guy's just dumbing it down too much. Everybody knows that. Why doesn't he get into specifics?" Or
Sure.
like there's a fine line, and it's not an easy job to do. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like switching to changing timing to on a per end basis, that starts messing with the actual game too much, in my opinion. And I mean, a baseball inning, they don't know when there's going to be commercials based on how many guys get on base. A football game,
NASCAR
they don't
race.
know when the next commercial is going to be, because there could be a really long drive, or it could be, they know roughly when they're going to call a TV timeout, but they don't stop a drive at the 10-yard line for a TV timeout. Things like that. So
it's hard to compare them though, because however long those go for, they have a broad audience already and people that understand the sport. We're trying to draw people into it, so we don't get the advantages that mainstream sports do with people understanding the rules and what's happening in each football quarter or baseball inning or something like that. Like we have to cater more to the casual fan than a mainstream sport does. But I honestly, Craig, I've had this conversation with God knows how many people about 8 versus 10, and I always go back to the same thing. I say I don't care if it's 8 or 10 ends, and I don't think it really matters that much to the average viewer. I think what matters is, and I'll give you a really good example here. I used this one the other day in an athlete commission conversation we had. I was watching a curling game with a non-curler the other day. I was watching the Briar, down in Florida. It's, beautiful outside. It's a work trip.
Quit bragging.
And it was a good work trip. Yeah, it wasn't in Minnesota. It was a blizzard. I came back to like 2 feet of snow in my driveway. But this person, I explained the rules to them. I explained, while we're watching one of the Briar playoff games, why they were doing what they were doing. And they, they were a little more interested once they understood it. But when they got invested was when I started talking about Matt Dunstone, because it was, Matt won the semifinal. This person was interested in Matt's story, and they were interested because, I told them I understood what this meant to Matt, because this would be his first final that, I really would like to see him win, because seeing somebody win for the first time and knowing Matt personally, that he's a good guy. And, they were invested in his story because now they have a backstory. They can identify with the athlete. And instead of, going out and doing something that night, we watched the Briar final, and they wanted Matt to win. And they were cheering openly, watching this game for a sport that they had no idea what the rules were earlier in the day, because they were invested in the athlete and the team and the story, not even necessarily the sport as much. So when we bring people in, we're doing it because they have a reason to get invested, not necessarily because of the length of the game or the pace or anything like that. If we can explain things to them, put more data on the screen and get things more interactive, that's going to help us too. But we've done a terrible job of marketing our athletes, I think. And we need to get them out there more and tell their stories. And, that was one of the goals I had when I worked the Olympics for NBC, was talking about the players and the athletes. I interviewed 20 some athletes leading into the games because I wanted to be able to tell their stories and to let people get to know them during the tournament, not just the Americans, that because we know these people, these are our friends, they have backstories, they have jobs, they have lives outside of it. Let's give them a reason to watch and cheer for these people outside of the fact that it's the Olympics and people watch every 4 years regardless.
Yeah.
We need to do that in between the Olympics, and we need to market our athletes and create more fan engagement in other ways too, with more data and stats on the screen, or creating a party atmosphere. If you guys have ever watched like a darts tournament, people go and they drink like crazy and they party their faces off. They scream, they dress up in costumes. They don't care about darts. They just care about the atmosphere of being there. I watched 3 hours straight of darts stuff on YouTube because of the parties, because of the scene, and I was interested because they drew me in. We can do things like that with
barbecue sauce.
We're not going to do it at the World Championships. We're not going to do it at the Olympics, but we could sure as hell do it for tour events and regular tournaments like that, where we get people more engaged, and we have a PA person announcing like they do with darts and things like that. I mean, there are things that we can do to get people more interested in the sport that don't have anything to do with 8 versus 10. And we still need to make that decision very soon. I don't know which the right one is with 8 versus 10, but I don't think it matters near as much as a lot of other things we can do.
All right.
Good answer.
Let's talk about something else, Wolf.
Good answer.
That is a good answer. That's serious stuff, though. Whew.
You guys brought it up.
Yeah, I know.
I talk about this stuff basically every day on the commission now. So,
got it.
What do you think about the women's worlds that just finished?
I mean, not a real surprise at the end result. I think one of the finalists was a pretty big surprise, but I think the entire tournament there was kind of a microcosm for where curling is, maybe more specifically with women's, but in general too, that the world is caught up with the top teams, and now you see teams like Norway making finals, and the Canadians battling to get on the podium every year as opposed to being the outright front runner, and all good things for the sport. Unfortunately, Tab came up a little bit short for getting into the playoffs, but that's a tough field with how
they did make a pretty good run at the end though to make it close.
Yeah, they lost a couple they should have won, and they won a couple they probably should have lost, and I mean they ended up basically where they should have with the way that they played, I guess. But so many of those teams were the same ones as you saw in the Olympics too. Yep. And when we did the handicapping for the fields before the Olympics, we did production meetings for NBC. They asked Kevin and Jamie and I what our predictions were based on the fields. For the men's side, we had 3 front runners we thought were pretty clear, and then a kind of a mix and match in the next 3 or 4 spots that we thought teams that had a decent chance of getting that 4th position. And then for the women's, we said there's 8 teams that could win the whole thing out of the 10. And we really believe that. So that's where they're at right now. That's a great thing. At that type of parity at a world championship level, only good things for the sport. So we're always going to be homers and cheer for our ladies, but you're only a win or 2 away from being 7th or 8th or in the the top 2 seeds basically in that tournament. Canada could end up missing the playoffs, and they ended up being the 3 seed. Yeah, I think for the playoffs after that too. If they lose their last game, they could have been in a tie situation. So I mean, the difference between the top 4, I think you're kind of putting Silvana ahead of the field right now because they're just the best team in the world. But other than that, I mean, you're kind of mixing and matching in 2nd through 8th.
I was just gonna say you can put the Swiss on the top at this point, and then the next 8 or 9 teams are vying for 5 spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean they went undefeated. You have to put them at the top. I don't see that very often.
Again, what did they say? Like
36 in a row.
36 wins in a row at Worlds.
It's bananas.
That's a staggering number.
They've won the past 4.
Number.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's
something.
What about men's worlds? Do we want to break that down a little?
Yeah. I think it's time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's time.
Let's go.
Who's playing?
Who's
13 teams,
Yeah.
Craig. They'll be representing different countries from across the world.
I mean,
Okay.
is there a Head and Shoulders in this field? I don't know if there is.
No, there isn't. I think if you're speaking realistically about just based on track record and what teams have done in the past, I think there's a top three, the same as there was at the Olympics. I mean, you got a Dean who is winning every single one, has to be your favorite. But I mean, the two teams right behind him, you got Brad Gushu, who's obviously won it himself. He's won the Olympics. You know, he's done everything there is to do in the sport. And then you got Bruce Mowat, who, you know, for about a year and a half leading into the Olympics in 2022, they won everything. Yeah. I mean, they were winning slams left and right.
He's
They
cooled
won
off
the
a little this year,
Europeans.
but
Yeah, I think with the schedule that they played, that they're probably taking things a little bit softer than they did in the past, because you don't want to go straight in and burn out, you know, with playing as much as they have, you know, in this stretch. Craig's zooming in on his groin right now, so it's kind of hard for me to focus on anything else.
I think the Italians are going to be there this year.
I'm sorry to distract you with my groin. I had to.
How many
tell
times
my
have you said that in your life?
To put the Nintendo Switch down because he owes me 2 hours of reading before he gets to use it.
Whoa.
Very nice.
All right.
And,
That's laying down the law, dad style there.
Yes. Well, also, Mom back home. We're on spring break right now. Mom back home can track their usage of it. So yes, I'm laying down the law dad style, but also I can get.
You could get in trouble.
Dad's gonna get yelled at.
This is good parenting, but mostly self-preservation.
It's a little of both. Sorry to interrupt. Where were we with the men's worlds? We talked about
top three.
Mike brought up
I think
Italians.
I think the Italians. Yeah, they're going to be right there.
Joel is playing. He's playing so well. Like he's like a different person. It's amazing. I mean, we played against him in Worlds in 2010 in Cortina.
Yeah,
and they were just kind of when also ran. You know, they were there, and they really didn't do much for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And I mean, they won a few games at the Olympics in 2018, but there really wasn't anything to say that this team was going to be different. And basically the same squad, I think, except for one player, was the team that went into the next squad. And all of a sudden they just, I'm not sure what they changed in their prep. I've never really known those guys all that well, but they just were a different team. They were playing these top teams to the hilt. They end up medaling at the 2022 World Championships. So you know, they're just a different squad than
didn't
they were
win a Euros?
They may have.
I feel like they did, or they were right there, or something.
They did very well.
Yeah,
if they didn't win, they did very well.
I know they lost the semifinal to Nicholas in one of them, but they were in the playoffs.
I mean, they've had a resurgence. I think they win a slam, maybe.
They won a slam. I think.
Yeah.
They're a legitimate contender, no question. And I think when you look at the field, and I'm just going to pull it up on my phone here too, because I mean, speaking about it in terms of betting odds is always the easiest way to do it too.
Right.
But one of the number that jumped out to me the most, like for those that are interested in these types of things, is the U.S. odds. That you could get John at 14-1 to win the whole thing, and I think they're tied for 6th best odds of any of the teams with Norway. Switzerland also above them at 6.5-1. But I think if there was going to be a year that John could sneak up on everyone, and I mean, he's not sneaking up on anybody, but just with the way this field is, with the top teams being who they are, it wouldn't surprise me a bit, not being a homer in the least, but just with how well he's playing in particular, for them to make their way into the playoffs. And you look at the matchups that they've had. We know John's record against the Dean. really good.
Yeah.
We know he's done well against Bruce too. He's got a couple of wins against him, once in a world championship. So he's very comfortable. Could have very easily beaten Bruce in the 2022 Olympics after taking that early lead. But I think with the matchups that he'll get in this tournament, the top teams are teams that he matches up well against, he's confident against. I don't think he's had a ton of success against Gushu, but I know from our days playing together, it was never somebody that we feared playing against. But if things fall the right way and he makes the playoffs and ends up matched up against an Adine or a Mowat in a semifinal game, I think you could very easily see John in the gold medal contention for this.
For sure.
And he's got that gold medal in his pocket. I don't know that people understand what that means, that the weight of the world is off his shoulders. He is playing better now than he ever has. And when it comes to championship type situations, that's when you know Matt's going to show up. Landsteiner's as steady as they come. It's really going to come down to what Chris does. That's the case with most top level teams. Is the third is the guy that you look to see how are they going to play when all the chips are down. And when Chris is more engaged and more involved in the strategy and talking with John about the ice and everything, then that's when that team is at their best.
So what do you think about them not playing quite as much as they had in the past? Because they went into Denver. Dropkin was playing like every other weekend. Schuster was playing probably like a third as much, and still won. Like once Schuster got in the playoffs, like they kicked it on another gear and won. So did you think that team was playing less than when you were on there?
Oh yeah, they're not even playing close to as much as when we played, but that's by design for them too. And as much as they've played, and Craig, this too from the competitive days when we played, that when you're playing well, there's only so much you need to do later in your career. You don't have to be a rink rat and throwing 100, 150 rocks of practice when you get to a certain point in your career, and you don't need to play a million tournaments as long as you feel like you're going to peak at the right time. And once they get to 2024, 2025 season, you're going to see their schedule pick up. They're going to play more, probably not to the level that they used to, but they've figured out how much they need to do now and not burn out later in their stage of their curling career. And they'll amp things up once they get to the Olympic run, but they're only going to play as much as they feel like they need to succeed. And, if this works for them, if they can play, 6, 7, 8 events and then win nationals and then nose to the grind after that and try to peak once they get to the Worlds, then that's absolutely what they should do. They're going to be fresh. They're going to be ready to go. And they're just not at a stage in their curling careers where playing a million events is necessary for them. And I talked with John about it, and he said, he's got this big smile on his face, like, yeah, this is great. I mean, we don't have to play nearly as many events, and we still go out there and we win, and then we still feel fresh, and we're going to be ready to go for Worlds. So they're right where they need to be, and they'll be in the mix. There's no question about that, because John's just playing way too well for them not to be in there at the end.
I agree very much with your how much you play synopsis. As long as you're getting your stones in at home, traveling is so overrated for older teams. I mean, I didn't want to travel as much at the last several years, but we kind of had to, because that's what the program teams were told. Here's your money. You got to play this many spiels. And I think we could have benefited tremendously by having 2 or 3 less weekends on the road and relaxing. Because, I mean, that traveling, it's whatever, I mean, it's nice. And at times you get good games, but it is exhausting. And if you, I don't know. I never had enough I never had enough clout those last 4 or 5 years with when I was in the program to like convince the powers that be otherwise, that we would actually benefit by playing a little less and even schedule us for a practice weekend
Sure.
instead of a couple trips to Canada, something like that. And I think that there was multiple years where we definitely weren't our best come nationals. And I can point to, my conclusion is I think we were burned out. And John and those guys, I think, have done a wonderful job of figuring out where their line is. At the same time, like Corey, he's young. His whole team's young. I think they probably they probably don't get as exhausted because they're 10 years younger each on average, at least. But also they got more to learn. They haven't been in as many situations.
And that's the important distinction too, Craig, that you're making, is that we don't want to give the feeling that you don't have to play a lot and work hard to succeed. This is just a way different stage in their curling careers. All those reps and all that traveling is only going to do so much for you when you've played thousands and thousands and thousands of games. For the same reason that you're seeing a lot of, with the NBA, especially now, they call it workload management, where guys are just taking every, fourth, fifth game off.
That's bullshit.
Just to do it.
Fucking load management.
Well,
Don't start me on that. I know. Yeah, I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. But
it's true though. It's the smart thing. I don't like it any more than the average fan does. Like when I'm watching other sports, if guys are taking days off, I want to see the best play. But it's better for the athletes, no question about it.
100%.
And you're not seeing rookies doing that very often. It's the veterans, and it's the same thing with curling. When you're young, when you're in your early 20s, your teens, whatever, throw a million rocks. Try to get something out of them. Don't just go throw. Make it targeted practices still, but get as many reps as you possibly can. Play as many games as you can. Travel, get all the experience possible, and then when you get later on in your career, those games and those reps just don't really do as much for you. It's not the same repetition for an older player than it is for a younger player. Where Craig, and for you guys too, Joel, Mike, you guys could go out right now with all the curling rocks you've thrown in your life. If you walked into a curling club and somebody told you, the hog to hog's 14.2 seconds, you could go out there and you could draw the lid probably within a shot or two, just because you have the feel for it. I'm gonna throw you guys in there. Come on now. You gotta butter the bread in the podcast a little bit, right? But that's the point, is with all the reps you've had, like you can just do that stuff automatically. Now. You can go play charity events and you can play well, you can enjoy it, but when you're younger, you got to put those reps in to get to that point where that actually makes a difference for you. And that's not going to happen from playing 8 events in a season like John's team is doing right now.
So got it. How is WrestleMania going right now?
It's not on tonight.
Is it still going on? Well, he was watching.
Oh, you were watching WrestleMania.
Oh, I was watching an old.
No, you was watching an old Raw or something.
Raw.
I was watching Raw from like 2002.
Okay.
Just a random old episode. I wanted to put something on I didn't have to pay any attention to.
Shot out of a
cannon. I still wanted to have something.
Does anybody want to do top 3 at Worlds? Yes or no?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah? All right. Tyler, go first. Guest goes first.
Oh, I got to lead off? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't take Nicholas and he wins, you're going to feel like an idiot at this point. Because he wins every year.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
I don't know that I can not take Nick to win.
Okay. So, Nick to win.
Sure. I'll be lame.
Okay.
And I'll take Nicholas to win it.
Okay.
I'll take Bruce.
Okay.
Silver. And I'm going to say Gushu loses the bronze medal game to Schuster.
Whoa. All right.
Do you have an
There's your top 3.
Do you have an outside pick that's a team that's going to do better than expected?
Let me see. I'm just pulling up the field again quick here. I would say if there's a team that's going to surprise people, I don't see it really happening that much from the bottom of the field as much as you would in the women's. I've seen the Japanese team play. Really young Skip. He's got a ways to go. He's got experience at third, but Yanagisawa's, I think he's like 17 or 18 or something like that, if I remember right.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
But it's
Yeah.
if I'm remembering right from the Pan Continentals, if there's a team outside the top half, okay, because that's got to be a qualifier, right?
Sure.
Okay. Outside of the top half, I'd say Germany could probably ruin somebody's week.
All right.
Those guys can play.
Yeah.
They're probably not making the playoffs, but I think they're going to knock somebody off and make somebody really upset at some point. But you got Sweden, Canada, Scotland, Italy, Switzerland, Norway, USA. I think those are pretty much the teams that you expect to be in the playoff hunt.
Got it.
Japan, you'd have to see that young Skip come up out of nowhere. South Korea, same thing. The Koreans will ruin somebody's week too, though.
Okay.
But it's those top 7 teams are pretty solidly entrenched above the rest of the field. I think I could see Norway winning a few games too, but
got it. All right.
Yeah, I think that's my 3. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going with.
Love it. Craig, go next.
Scotland, USA, Switzerland. I'm taking Adine and Canada.
Taking them off the podium.
Oh,
They're
wow.
both off
Wow.
the podium.
Just ruining weeks. Boom.
Love it.
I
You're
also didn't predict Adine to win a medal at the Olympics, and he did.
Whoops.
But
That's all right.
in that same prediction, I did predict Jennifer Jones to miss the playoffs at the Olympics, and that came true. And
There you
everybody thought I was crazy for saying that. So.
All right. Love it. You go next.
I also predicted that, Craig.
It's hard not to predict Gushu in Canada because he plays so well
Okay.
in Canada. So I gotta go. Gushu beats Adine, and Shusty beats probably Switzerland
Benoit.
or Joel Retternaz. I think Shusty beats Joel in the bronze game.
Okay. I'm like Joel. Hard to see.
Bruce is out.
Yeah, Bruce is out. All right.
It's the week setting up perfect for them. They screwed up their travel. They couldn't get there on time.
That's
They're
right.
these kids, they're gonna show up and they aren't
Just
gonna miss a shot for the
show
first
up and just run roughshod over the
Yeah.
over the field. All right. The Goo is gonna win in Ottawa. He's gonna beat Ray Ternaz.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ray Ternaz is gonna get the silver. And in a gold medal rematch, Shusty and Adine are going to play in the bronze medal game. Mm-hmm. And Nick's going to get his revenge.
Mm-hmm. Next revenge.
All right, I'm going to tell you how badly your prediction is. How bad your prediction is. And I'm kind of coming back to Tyler too, because Tyler was hyping up Italy as well, and they played 12 games, 4-8.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pick them to make the Final Four.
No,
Whoa.
but that's
said
all
they're
right.
a
You were
better team
hyping
than
them
they
up
were.
earlier.
I hyped him up. That's
I'm
fine.
going 4-8,
Yeah.
maybe
Alright.
even
Okay.
3-9.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
So
So if you put the over under at 4.5 wins, Craig, you're
Whoa.
taking the under.
Yes.
Whoa.
mhm.
Ooh. Okay, I'll take the over on that. I'll take over 4.5 wins for
A beer?
sure. Yeah, beer's good enough.
That's my standard bet.
All right,
It doesn't
enough.
actually even have to be beer. It can be a drink. You can
Alright.
have a drink too if you'd like.
Malort.
dealer's choice.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
4.5. Great. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys catch? I said dealer's choice. There.
Dealer's
Kurt-
choice.
That means I
correct.
can give Craig Malort.
You give Craig a
Yeah.
shot of Malort. Yeah, it's coming, buddy. Here it comes.
so-
All right, we're not going to kick you off the show, but we got some questions that we ask everybody.
Yeah.
Well, how did you start curling?
Pretty standard one. My parents ran the curling club in Duluth when I was born.
Okay.
So I was raised in a curling club.
Good
Just
old Tommy.
always around it.
Got it.
So, other than your home club, which I assume is Duluth, where do you like to play?
I love Oakville, Ontario, where I'll be in a week for the end of the Curl for Kids. Wonderful people. I mean, great event too, but they always have fantastic ice. Even when you play like tour events there, Oakville's ice for anybody that's played there is as good as anywhere in the world.
Got it.
I played the Oakville family Christmas Bonspiel this year. My sister lives in Oakville.
Okay.
And my 8-year-old was pretty nervous about playing because in Madison, a lot of the times you can't get the rock from one end to the other. I'm like, no, man, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
First shot of the game, he gets called in like the third end to play.
Yeah, it's like an 8-person team, didn't you?
We had an 8-person team, and he gets slotted in at third in the first end, and he gets called for a takeout by his cousin, who's doesn't even know that he isn't sure if he can get it to the other end, and he comes down in Oakville like it was the easiest thing in the world and throws like this board weight, control weight, hit and roll perfect behind a guard. The whole crowd went for wild. But, in Madison, that rock might not even got to the house. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great ice there. Scott Foster, that ice guy. We'll give him props.
We have a dumb question about what's your favorite Bonspiel. So we know from your previous conversation that House of Hearts and Curl for Kids are right up there. Do you have another one that you'd like to add to the list?
I mean, those two are so much. I mean, as many times as I played them, above the rest. Obviously, Lupus is right up there too.
Okay.
The summer version one, which is a blast. I'm trying to think of just a regular Bonspiel that would be up there with the rest of them too. I always love playing in the Cash Spiel in Eveleth because we treated it like our relaxed weekends. Like we kind of partied when we played that one because it was the last event before our like Christmas break, and we always played well there anyways. I'm quite certain that there was a time or two that we won the drinking championship and the Bonspiel championship.
Oh man, I was giving you a tight run for your money in both of those championships because we treated it that way too.
Yeah, well, by the time we were playing against each other, Craig, on Saturday, semis, finals, I mean, it's a battle of attrition at that point.
Yeah.
But the Warriors always rose to the top at that.
Absolutely. the experienced crew figured out how to get through to those second and third games on Sunday after a whole weekend of that.
Well, it didn't hurt that some of us, yourself and myself included, knew the draw master and somehow never ended up with that early Saturday draw.
We had to show up early on Friday to make sure that we got that benefit. But that's
but
fine.
they also were trying to benefit the club because they knew who was going to stick around and spend money at the bar if they didn't have the Saturday morning draw. So everybody won in this equation.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So setting aside money and championships, what's the best, weirdest thing you've ever won?
Meat. Thunder Bay, I forget the name of the spiel, but they had meat for a prize, which was always interesting, trying to get it back across the border too. But
we've talked about that in the past.
Some years
we're pretty sure the statute of limitations. We're pretty sure the statute of limitations is passed on that.
Yeah, there you go.
As we've talked about in previous episodes, we'll be able to have one meet.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the first one that comes to mind, and that stuff was good too.
Sweet. What is a skill or talent you have outside of curling that you'd like our listeners to know about?
So I was thinking about this. I mean, I could go with other sporting stuff, but that's boring. I can name you from 1985 until 2005, I would say. I can tell you who won every World Series, who they beat, and how many games the series won.
1997.
97 was Marlins and Indians. Florida won in 7, walk-off hit.
Who got the walk-off hit? Do you remember?
Edgar Renteria.
All right.
God.
Craig Council scored the winning run.
I knew that he scored the winning run. I didn't know who hit him.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's ridiculous because you got that right.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's right.
In 11 innings, that final game.
Yeah.
11 innings.
You know what the weird thing is I mean, it's not weird that I can't do it before 85. What's weird is I can't do it after 2005. Like my brain stopped caring enough to remember.
What was the one?
Like I could maybe
That's
randomly
probably just
get
the
a year.
Malort talking.
What was the Joe Carter year? What year was
That
Joe?
is probably about when I started drinking Malort, actually.
Yeah, 2005.
Joe Carter year was 93 because that was the second year that the Jays won in a row.
Oh man!
6th inning walk-off home run in Game 6 off Mitch Williams.
One of my favorite radio calls of all time. Tom Cheek, touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So what helped you along the way to be a better curler?
Playing with people above what you think are your skill level or your experience level gets you experience that you wouldn't normally get just playing against all the same teams or people at the same level. Like Craig actually took me to a men's event in St. Paul back in, I think I was like 18 at the time, something like that, maybe younger. But played with him and Corey Ward and Ryan Quinn in the St. Paul Cash. And we made the quarters, and I'll never forget. I know I've told Craig this before too, that I played lead. I was kind of new to the men's circuit at the time. I had to be 16 or 17, and I asked Craig, because I'm trying to be a good guy before the event starts. What's the entry fee? What do I owe you? And Craig says, Ty, we take it out of our winnings. You don't need to pay anything. He was right. I never paid a dime. We made the playoffs.
Nice.
And I still maintain that shot that Quinn made, that board weight 25-foot straight run back, is one of the best shots I've ever seen in my life. I still remember it 25 years later. It's crazy.
You're getting old. I don't remember that
I
one.
know.
Okay, it's a good thing that it happened in the 85 to 2005 window.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't remember it.
No, it did, though.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
Otherwise, you're right.
That's when your memory stopped.
I'd have no idea, probably. You're right. That's a good point.
All right. You're going to a Bonspiel. You get to take your ideal team. So you can take, we've allowed listeners to take, I'm assuming you're going, and you can take an additional 3 or 4 players. 4, so you have a bartender or an extra in case somebody gets overserved, or just a cheerleader,
or maybe you're overserved the entire time.
Who you taking with you?
Well,
and bonus question: you can tell us where you're going.
Okay. Well,
No, you definitely have to tell us where you're going.
Yeah, where are you going?
Okay.
So you're going to Rice Lake Summer Spiel.
We're gonna go.
It's gonna be 2012.
So I didn't think about that part of it. I was ready on the answer of who I would play with.
Okay.
But
we'll start with
where
the
we're
width,
going,
and then we'll go from there.
The width. All right. So I gotta have one curler.
Okay.
Because the other 2 guys aren't curlers.
Got it.
So I gotta have somebody that's gonna make everything, so we don't have to worry about the rest of it, and somebody that I've never played with, that I respect a lot, that I think would be a lot of fun to play a spiel with. So my curler is Mark Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my guy. Mark's gonna make everything, so the rest of us don't have to do anything.
Got it.
That's probably true.
And my two teammates will be Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan, because those two will be betting against each other on every single shot they throw throughout the entire tournament. The
and
sheets
talking
next to
so
us,
much
what's
trash.
going to happen the next day. Yep. And we're going to get into some wild shit at night, I'm sure, too. So those 2 I got to have on my squad. So that's my 4, the 4 of us. And if I'm going to bring in somebody else so I don't have to play, then I probably want another curler. So somebody else I haven't played with that I think would be a lot of fun. I want to bring in Oscar Erickson. Never played with Oscar. Know him really well. But he can go out and make everything and sleep a half an hour, because I've seen him do it, and then go play and make everything the next morning again too.
Love it.
That's my squad. Oh, and where are we going? God, it seems kind of wrong not to take him to Last Chance, but
Oh, love that answer. Great answer.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a common
probably
but
that's a good
solid
spot
answer.
to go. Yeah,
Solid answer.
that's a good spot to go.
I mean, if you're going to give him the full experience, the problem is we got to drive a long ways to go to a casino from there. If it's Jordan and Barkley, we're going.
Yeah.
So
No,
maybe,
they'll just hire a limo to drive you up to whatever that place
they
up
have
by
limos up there?
Huey. They'll bring one.
Don't worry
bring
about
one.
it.
Don't worry
You
about
got
it.
Jordan money.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. All right, that's my answer then.
Or he might just have a pop-up casino somewhere up there, just randomly show up.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's your walk-up song?
It's got to be something really cheesy. It can't be like, yeah, Eye of the Tiger or something like, get you jacked up. So I'm gonna go with "The Kid Is Hot Tonight" by Loverboy.
Kid Is Hot Tonight by Loverboy.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that one.
Wow.
It's a good one.
All right.
Check it out. You'll laugh thinking of somebody walking up to like the ice or a plate when you hear it. It's just straight up 80s cheese ball. As much as you can.
Well, check out the Curling Nation playlist on Spotify. We have a compilation of all the songs that everybody's picked.
It's all over the place.
And it is the.
I'm really happy to add that one.
That's even better. Do you have any sponsors you want to mention, or do you have anything you want to mention before we kick you off the show?
George's Liquor.
Besides Malort.
Besides Malort.
Yeah, I mean, obviously George's Liquor in the Kenwood Shopping Center.
Okay.
If anybody's up in Duluth and they need to get their booze, I was very happy with the attendees of House of Hearts. How many of them said that they went up to the family shop before the event started and patronized the establishment. Of course, we sponsored the booze in the hospitality suite for years and years now. So, that's it. And for myself personally too, if any curlers out there are looking to have an event at their club, have me come out and put on some clinics or meet and greets, media engagements, member experience,
kiss babies,
like that, anything to help your club. Yeah, find me on social media for the time being. There will be a website and some other easier ways to track me down in the future. But for now, get me on Facebook, get me on Twitter and Instagram if you're on there. I'm rarely, but the other ones you can get me there. Otherwise, looking to fill up some time in the spring. Busy season's coming to an end, so schedule is much more open May, June, July.
You can email
love to come out and see your
email
club.
us. We can always get you in touch with Tyler too.
Forward you off to Ty.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, if you're gonna make me talk to these guys more after the show, that's fine too. As long as I get business.
All right, Tyler. Thank you for coming on. Good luck at Curl for Kids. Good luck with your broadcasting duties at the World Championships in Ottawa. We'll tune in. We'll after the show we'll come up with like a little key phrase so you're giving us a little shout out on the broadcast.
Yeah, do that.
If you can say deuce as many times as you can. Joanne Courtney didn't want to say deuce.
Yeah,
on the air. She
we'll
refused
figure
to
it
say
out.
deuce. So.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have the same qualms that Joanne does, so that's not a problem.
All right, Ty.
Perfect.
Safe travels. Thanks
Do
again, buddy.
do you have any qualms about anything?
Like in the booth or just in life?
No, just in life in general.
Yeah, I don't swear on my mother. That's a big one.
That's a good one.
I think that's the most important one.
That's solid. That's respectable. I like that.
Yeah, I think everybody should follow that one unless their mother likes to swear. And even then, don't do it better than she does.
Solid advice from a gold medalist right there.
All right.
We're out.
Don't swear in front of your mother. All right. Good curling, everybody.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
All right, Curling Nation, that's it for Season 3, Episode 11. Big thanks to Ty for coming on today. Great interview with him. Lots to talk about, rules, worlds. I don't know. I forget what we talked about because we had so much fun.
Charity spieling.
Charity spieling. Who doesn't love a good charity spiel? Find a summer spiel in your area. Go summer spiel. Do it. And when you do, take some ends cards with you. Curling Nation at curlingnetwork.com. Get some cards. Take them to your next spiel. Otherwise, big thanks to Motus Financial, motuscc.com for sponsoring the show. Love them. not a whole lot of shows left this year, probably. I don't know. We haven't even talked about it. But if you want us to get somebody on the show for the bump, maybe for next year, maybe for the end of this season, maybe for your summer spiel, you know who you're going to summer spiel with? Get them on the show. Curling Nation at curlingnetwork.com.
We could even do a summer episode.
We could do a summer episode. Let's get wacky with it. Otherwise, I think that's it. You know, find us on social media. We're on Facebook, the Twitter. I'm at, you know, the Mike 720, Curling Nation, Curling Craig. We're out there. Find us. If you want to get Tyler George to your club, find him. He's a great guy to have around. Otherwise, I think that's it for this week. Mike McDermott, Joel Dietz, Craig Brown, Curling Nation.